How is it that some people play lots of chess and barely improve, but others rarely play at all and go absolute bonkers? Some people improve the wrong way and it takes them years, meanwhile others casually hit a top 5% rating like it's nothing. Wouldn't it be nice to get good at chess without dedicating your life? I will teach you how to win at chess, the correct way. How do I know the way? Last week I launched ChessPage University. Inside I'm working with people of all ranges. I listen to their problems and help solve them. I get feedback from hundreds of players telling me what advice helped. Then I can make YouTube videos, giving you real-world advice to improve at chess, and the goal is optimal improvement per time spent practicing. For episode 1 I want to show you what actually makes the difference in elos, so I forced two players of massively different elo to play against each other, that way we can see what specifically makes the high-rated player the better player, and the next videos will be covering those exact topics. If you pay attention for 7 minutes you will know what to improve and more importantly, what you shouldn't improve, so you don't waste your time. So let's look at the game. The high elo player opens the game with e4 and black responds with e5. Knight f3, knight c6. The most common moves. And knight c3, knight f6, the four knights game. But now white plays a rather unconventional move, g3. And the low elo player spots an opportunity to attack on d5, backed by the knight and the queen. White decides to take the pawn, black takes back. Now it's white's turn. Taking again would be an option, but if you do so, black can develop the queen for free. So white develops the bishop. Now the back rank is empty and ready to castle. The noob captures the knight, which is actually an okay move because after white takes back, the position is not very pretty. Double pawns are bad, generally speaking. And black pins the knight to the queen. I asked the player of black after the game, he had no idea what he was doing in the opening. And you could actually argue that his position is better than the high-rated player's position. Now white wants to push the bishop back. The bishop retreats and look at this. White pushes again. The bishop has to retreat again, but this is just not optimal. Both sides are kind of bad for the white king. White castles king side, but this is not perfect at all. If I was this king I would fire my defense. The low-rated player actually kind of won the opening. But does it even matter at all? We'll see. Black develops the bishop. And here white decides to offer a trade by playing d4. If black takes, white can recapture and then double pawn is gone. Black doesn't take, but castles instead. Ouch. This allows d5, attacking the knight. It's not game over but a little annoying. The horse has to jump back home. At least it's also an attack on the pawn, so white has to defend it now. The position is overall very equal. c6, challenging the center pawn. White develops a bishop. And c5. Now d4 might become a weak square. Knight h4, threatening to take the bishop. b6, solidifying the pawn structure. White plays rook e1, a normal development move. And now look at this. The game has been equal so far. No player was massively dominant, nobody absolutely crushed the opening, nobody has a super advanced strategy. This was a very playable equal game for both sides. And now the low elo player thinks he found a tactic. Knight captures on d5, and opening the attack on the h4 knight. He thinks that white will take the knight with the pawn, and the queen can capture the other knight. This would win a pawn. What a great idea, but trust me pal, you're not that guy. What the noob didn't calculate was that in this position, white takes the knight with the bishop, attacking the rook. And we will never know at what point he realized that after taking with the queen, the rook is gone. And it comes worse. Black doesn't even win the bishop because after rook takes bishop, the white queen takes this bishop. An absolute disaster. This went from completely equal to 4 material points disadvantage within a few moves, all because of one single stupid move. But wait a second. The game is not over yet. Black captures a pawn, coming dangerously close to the king. White moves the queen. And black takes another pawn, also giving check. This is ridiculous. Now white blocks with the queen and black can trade queens. And after the trade, black takes another pawn. This was 3 free pawns, the material difference is only 1 point and the game is almost equal again. Wow, so high-rated players aren't perfect, you can actually come back against them. Except that this didn't really happen. In this position with the queen standoff, black didn't trade queens. All the low-rated player could see was ooga booga, I can capture a pawn, so I must capture a pawn. So he ooga booga takes the pawn and instantly loses to checkmate in 1. In the second game, something absolutely shocking happened. e4 e5 and knight f3, this time the low-rated player is on the white side. The player of the black pieces develops his queen on move 2, not a good move. The high-rated player is in silly mode. Knight c3, book move, nice. Knight c6 and now the bishop gets out. And to get rid of it, the high-rated player pushes a6. What would you do? White captures the knight. Arguably an inaccuracy, you don't really want to trade bishops for knights unless it's very beneficial. Black takes back. This is one of the slight inaccuracies by the low-rated player. A few moves later, he gets into a trade creating a double pawn, another non-ideal situation. But does it really matter so much? Fast forward even 20 moves into the game, the position is really equal. Even the engine says this is equal. And the noob pushes a pawn. Black makes a funny horse jump, giving check. And here the low elo player puts the king on c2. What a tragedy, because the knight goes to e1, forking the king and a pawn. The king escapes and the knight takes a pawn. Okay, it's only one pawn, nothing too bad. Right? Trade rooks and some other moves, and in move 26, black plays knight g5, attacking the pawn. This is not a high-level attack or something. King e2. Completely unnecessary. And the pawn is gone for nothing. Knight d3, this is a real game. This actually happened. Black can capture another pawn, forking the king and a pawn. King e3 and the third pawn is gone. There was no advanced strategy or complex attack by the high-rated player. All he did was not blundering. Fast forward, white loses one more random pawn for nothing and then loses tragically due to unnecessary mistakes. What a shocking turn of events. So, what was the main difference here? The high-rated player didn't pull out some Magnus Carlsen type of Giga tactic. He also didn't pull out some genius strategy or 10 different cool openings. He's aware that low-rated players tend to blunder, statistically speaking every single game. If you make a move that's not a blunder 15 times in a row, chances are your opponent will make a mistake. So how do we stop blunders the most effective way? And what did we learn in this video? This video is supposed to show you that no matter how good your strategy is, if you blunder a rook, you'll lose. And if you don't have a game plan for the middle game, feeling lost and not knowing what to do, that's fine. Make a non-blunder move, give the initiative back to your opponent, and let him blunder. But how do we stop these mistakes for ourselves? Because you're smart now, you're not going to waste your time studying 10 openings and playing blitz games that don't improve your rating. You're enlightened. Getting rid of unnecessary one-move blunders is actually quite easy to a degree. And that's exactly the topic of episode 2 of this series. A little simple trick that will help you instantly get better at chess. I gave this advice to a few people in ChessPage University and some of them went on a very solid winning streak, but I'm still testing it to be perfect. And the next video covers what that advice was. Make sure to watch the video, and if you want to see what ChessPage University is, you can see the introduction video with the top link in the video description.